morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia and Free Range, and I am delighted today to have a fellow nutritionist on board, as well as Sterling Hill, and a DNA expert. And today we're going to introduce Wendy Myers, and she is a detox specialist. And Wendy, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. And I wanted to talk to everyone today about EMFs or electromagnetic fields and symptoms they may have, why it could be contributing to any mystery illness they have, and some solutions. But I got, to this place just in my own health journey, researching heavy metals and toxins like EMF that were perhaps contributing to my own health issues, hormonal imbalance. I was, and other issues I was dealing with, mood issues, fatigue, trouble sleeping, trouble losing weight, and that sent me to my doctor to try to figure out what's going on. And I found out I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman at 37, which I was thrilled to find out. And my thyroid hormones were really low. My sex hormones were low. My libido was non-existent. I wasn't sleeping well. I was having bouts of anger and just wasn't feeling like all the efforts that I was taking to, like, my health was my full-time job. And I just thought, what is it that I have to do to feel good? And my doctor wanted to put me on the thyroid hormone replacement and sex hormone replacement. And I thought, that's just not how I envisioned my life at 37. So I started going on Dr. Google and trying to figure out what causes hormones to be low. And I kept hitting upon heavy metals, chemicals, and other toxins. Now, EMF, we know, dramatically impairs hormones as well, among other many other symptoms. So that's when I founded MyersDetox.com to publish what it is that I was learning, and I just kind of mushroomed from there. It started about 8 years ago.
That's awesome. I tell people all the time, you have to detox every day. We are constantly exposed to chemicals, to heavy metals, to chemtrails, all those kinds of things. And it certainly affects us. And now this EMF is really a big thing too. Um, could you explain more about that? Have you studied that? And in what way does that lower hormone levels?
Yes. So EMFs are electromagnetic fields. They're emitted by our computers, by our cell phones, by appliances in our home. Any electronic device can emit EMFs or frequencies. Our wireless internet, our neighbors' wireless internets, our satellites that are in the atmosphere right now are emitting frequencies as well. And these frequencies interfere in our body's ability to communicate and function properly. And that's why we see all these myriad number of symptoms and mystery illness, and some people can be very debilitated by these, but the majority of people are, maybe not really connecting their symptoms or their fatigue or brain fog or diagnoses and as 5G or EMFs being a contributing factor to those symptoms, or lowered immunity, or any of the other symptoms that we can go over. But even the wires in your walls can be emitting frequencies. The smart meter in your home that's telling the electric company how much electricity you're using. There's so many different sources of EMF that impact our body. So that's why my mission is to try to bring more awareness about these different sources so that people can be looking at this as a potential underlying root cause. And then I want to give people, towards the end, some solutions about what they can do to reduce its EMF's impact on their bodies.
That is awesome because that is a real significant problem for people. And I don't think all the health professionals, even for that matter, are aware of this. And this is why we have people with health problems, and the doctor doesn't know what's wrong either. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really common. And what's really heartbreaking is when I hear of people or my own personal clients that have symptoms, they go to their doctor and the doctor runs all these tests, the blood work is normal, here's a card for a psychiatrist. Or they it's like it is.
It's all in your head, right?
And it's terrible. It's heartbreaking when you have people that have been going through that revolving door in mainstream medicine, or even spending thousands in functional medicine, which is an upgrade. But many of these practitioners are not looking at different toxins like heavy metals or chemicals or EMF as an underlying root cause, so that the people have any chance of being able to live a normal life or improve their symptoms, because they're not getting at the underlying root cause.
That is so true. And
Hi.
it's a big problem with our medical field right out the gate, as far as I'm concerned. Um, I was wondering, could you address the issue about how Tesla is involved in the Earth in 5G?
Yeah. Sterling, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I'll ask my question after.
Okay, great, great, perfect. Yeah, so this is another really kind of shocking, even frightening fact, is that, there's a lot of information about all these 5G towers going up every 10 houses and whatnot. But the reality is and that's happening here in the United States and other developed countries. But in underdeveloped countries, they don't have the money to spend on this infrastructure to build all these different cell phone towers. So there's several companies, there's about 3 companies right now that are competing for the skies, that are launching 5G satellites there's about 60 a month going up currently into the atmosphere. Right now, Starlink, which is a company owned by Elon Musk, and also there's another company backed by Bill Gates, and there's another company, I forget the name, but here, I have the name right here, actually. Yeah, so there's OneWeb also is sending up satellites as well. And so these are essentially satellites that are going to be emitting 5G frequencies to blanket the Earth so that everyone can have cell phone reception. And this is wanted, it's demanded in developing countries where people maybe can't afford a computer, but they can afford a cell phone and want connection. And so this is coming, it's happening right now. And by the year 2022, there's going to be 20,000 5G satellites in our atmosphere. This is coming. And a lot of the meters that people have, say some, biohackers or EMF enthusiasts are trying to kind of find out where they have different sources of EMF in their environment. The meters cannot read these high frequencies in the 60 gigahertz frequencies, or even a little bit lower. These meters can't read that. So even people that are looking for sources that are affecting their health are not going to be aware of this source that is going to be dramatically increasing over the next couple of years and beyond. So we need to be thinking about this and how it's affecting our health. If you enjoy good health and you work on your health, like your diet and your exercise and your supplements and all the stuff that you're doing, you have to be thinking about EMF mitigation and things that you can do to protect your body.
That's so true. And wow. I know that it affects our DNA too, doesn't it, Sterling?
Yeah,
Yes.
it most certainly does. Hi, Wendy. So nice to see you. Could you tell us the difference between 4G and 5G, please?
Yes. Yeah. So 4G is still very harmful. That is when you look on your phone, most people see 4G or 4G LTE. And that's the kind of the next generation above 3G, which we had a little while ago. Some countries still have 3G, but in the United States, most of us have 4G and even 5G now. And so this kind of speaks to the level of the frequencies that are being emitted by our bodies. And 5G can, but not always, emits more intense frequencies. So the amount of frequencies released by 5G, which is this next generation of the speed in which information is delivered to us, it makes a difference between when you're watching Netflix, the little, the video being paused, not being able to watch it, continuously, versus being able to stream that and being able to just watch it continuously without any interruption. That's what everybody wants, but there's a price for that luxury. And so these are these 5G frequencies that enable that film or that video to be viewed continuously can be very, very intense pulse frequencies, much more intense and much more frequent than 5G. And do you want to elaborate on that, Sterling, at all?
Yeah, 5G can be very damaging on us as individuals. We have many genes that, where we've found that 5G disrupts melatonin, for example, and we have that NLRP3 inflammasome that when you're missing that melatonin, people don't realize it's an anti-inflammatory as well as an antiviral, not only a hormone. And when you're missing that melatonin, that NLRP3 inflammasome comes out and then turns on all these interleukin genes, human leukocyte antigen genes, tumor necrosis factor genes that cause this cytokine storm, this mass inflammation, and it can cause many autoimmune diseases. So that right there, with all the peer review they have on 5G disrupting melatonin, tells you how damaging it is on our health. And another thing, Wendy, I know as New Orleans is one of the biggest 5G cities out there, we have the most intricate 5G, even though there's more 5G put up in other cities, but we have some of the most intricate 5G, sort of like Wuhan is in New Orleans. But could you tell us of the other cities that do have 5G?
Yeah, so there's a lot of cities that have rolled out that have 5G, and I have a list right here, but this is definitely going to be growing in the coming months and years. So essentially, Houston has it here. I have a list right here. I just want to make sure I am. What was that?
I said read off the cities if you don't mind.
Yeah. I'm trying to find this list here that I have, just so that I'm saying something that's completely accurate. Let's see. Oh, here it is. And so this may have been, like I said, this may have been added to. Okay. It might just take me a minute. Oh, here it is. Here, I have it right here. Okay, so these cities, San Francisco voted unanimously last week to effectively block deployments of these wireless towers, so that's good. But there's other cities, in every carrier, like AT&T, Verizon, they all have different cities in which they rolled out 5G. So it depends on the carrier. But let me, the list is, I'm so sorry. I don't have this list. I thought that I did, but I don't. So I don't want to spend too much time kind of looking for that. But I just know some of the cities, of course, New York, very high in 5G. Houston, of course, Austin, Texas, as well, Los Angeles, obviously, Miami, any of the major metropolises are going to have 5G. And you can just look on your phone. If you're curious, look on your phone to see if you have 5G. Usually, if you have an older phone, it may not be 5G compatible. So even if you have 5G in your area and you're being affected by that, your phone just may not receive that signal, but that doesn't mean you don't have it in your area. But if you have a newer phone, you can see it on your phone. It'll say either 5G or 4G LTE, typically.
Okay. I don't see it on mine, but that's okay. I will look at it again. Since health professionals aren't as aware of some of the symptoms that are related to EMF sensitivity, I'm sure you've had experience with clients that have. And could you give us an idea of what that is?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So symptoms can range from fatigue, brain fog, poor immunity, poor immune response, getting ill frequently. People can have numbness and tingling, like neuropathy. They can have blood sugar control issues, where the cells have problems with uptaking glucose or taking up too much. They can have issues with um, uh, issues with like food sensitivities, with having where they're having a lot of different chemical sensitivities or food reactions or reactions to supplements. The immune system isn't performing correctly. There's just a whole host of symptoms that people can have. Sterling, can you elaborate on some symptoms that you're aware of?
Oh yeah, mass inflammation, man. That's a big one. Not sleeping because of the disruption of melatonin. The inflammatory genes turning on, and our cell wall permeability issues that we get with it. So we get this viral overload. So let's say you have HSV 1 or 2, those are oral and genital, or you have HSV 6, which is Epstein-Barr, which just makes you feel like flu-like and exhausted. And when this microwave radiation, especially 5G, can cause that cell wall permeability issue, yeah, Epstein-Barr virus can come out, herpes simplex 1 and 2, and many other viruses that we're learning about. I understand Judy Mikovits is saying that it looks like XMRV is coming out the cage. Are we going to see more people with chronic fatigue? I'm pretty sure, Wendy, you're noticing a lot more people with chronic fatigue now, because that's one of the causes of chronic fatigue, that virus alone.
Yeah. I mean, most people that come to seek out my help are, definitely looking at heavy metal toxins or chemicals as perhaps an underlying root cause. But I teach people that EMFs are a big cause of fatigue as well, and then also cancers. So malignant and benign brain tumors are considered the number one fear of this EMF pollution. And also adverse effects on neurotransmitters in the brain, resulting in mood swings, memory loss, learning issues, stress. Just that general feeling of stress is something that you may attribute to something going on in your life, whereby it actually can be this constant stressor that people are under, and they may become used to it, used to this constant feeling of stress. And when they go out in nature, or they go camping, they're like, wow, they slept so good, or they just felt so much better. And they don't realize how much better they feel until they're out of this EMF rich environment. And then because of the neurotransmitter effects on the brain, people can have anxiety and depression and other mental health issues. We also see rupturing of the brain cells, resulting in like slowed brain reaction times, because this leakage of calcium ions into the surrounding tissue. There's also disruptions in brain glucose metabolism linked to Alzheimer's disease, so contributing to dementia. Sleep disruption, which you mentioned, huge. I forgot to mention that. That's one of the hugest problems, is this sleep disruption, because your brain emits these brain waves, these frequencies, and they have to be a specific frequency to fall asleep and stay asleep and get a good restorative sleep, those REMs, rapid eye movement sleep. And so these non-native frequencies acting on your body and your brain disrupt sleep, not to mention, like you mentioned, disruption of melatonin production, which we need to fall and stay asleep. I believe that there's a rash of melatonin deficiency in people. Every single client I work with, I tell them to take melatonin if they tolerate it. And then thyroid dysfunction, fertility problems, infertility, huge. Lots of research showing infertility issues in animals and humans when you look at the research on EMF's effects on the human body. And so we're just kind of touching the surface, and there's DNA damage, cellular DNA damage that leads to tumors, and oxidative stress, which leads to inflammation, like you mentioned. And so I can definitely post all this different research. Then there's the risk to children. Children that endure they endure higher EMF absorption rates through their brains than adults because their brain tissues are simply more absorbent. And their skulls are thinner. They have a smaller size that makes them more susceptible to EMFs. And so kids are at greater risk, especially that we heard that, during this lockdown, a lot of EMF towers were erected in schools. And so really important to, monitor if there's a 5G tower near your child's school, if there's a proximity of the school to radio stations, high voltage power lines, is the wireless router in the child's classroom, is the electric smart meter in your child's wall where their head is, where they're sleeping every night. Lots of really important things to consider when you're concerned about your child. I mean, we do know that EMF contributes to childhood leukemia and in other cancers, really, really huge problem. And this is why I'm, really passionate about alarming, just waving the flag to try to get people to pay attention to so many different symptoms. And we haven't even listed all of them. There's a lot more to it than just that.
Now, just out of curiosity, because you have, seen, worked with a lot of different clients. Now, do you find people that have a lot of heavy metal toxicity, that their symptoms are even worse?
Definitely heavy metals can act like mercury and lead, aluminum, other metals can act like an antenna almost, attracting these EMF frequencies to their body, much like lightning can be attracted to, a tall pole or what have you. And so heavy metals are contributing and compounding the problem. And so that's definitely something that Dr. Dietrich Kleinhardt has talked about. So it does compound the problem, not to mention contribute to the breakdown and metabolic function of the body in many, many, many different ways.
As humans, we obviously are very amazing creatures because we do withstand so much punishment and damage. It's unbelievable. But one of the things that concerns me the most, what can we do? Because this is like another invisible enemy. You don't see it, you don't taste it, you don't see it coming at you. So many people don't even know that they should protect themselves.
Yeah, I'll give you guys 5 things you can do right now, but they essentially entail, finding sources in your environment and, getting rid of those devices or shielding yourself from those devices, and then also protective measures, things and devices you can use to protect yourself. So number 1, you want to increase the distance between any EMF source in your body. Distance will reduce the problems of these EMF frequencies acting on your body. So you want to distance yourself from your body or turn it on airplane mode, what have you. So you want to keep, it's definitely your cell phone, you want to keep it in another room if you're charging it. You don't want to have it near your head, on the bedroom nightstand when you're sleeping, charging it. You want to have the airplane mode on and just put it in another room if you can. And so also don't carry it in your pants or shirt pocket, especially not in your front pants pocket if you're a male. You don't want that. Women too, of course. So for longer calls, you want to use like the speakerphone or earbuds or even a Bluetooth headset, but don't wear it all day long. It's interesting that a lot of people think like the little Apple earbuds are really problematic for EMF. They're actually not. They're actually safe. And so, but not all Bluetooth headsets can be safe. They're all different, but I do know that the Apple earbuds are okay. And so you want, number 2, you want to shut down your Wi-Fi router at night. And so you can either just turn it off before you go to bed. It's very easily achieved by getting a 24-hour mechanical timer. So you can just set it to shut off when you're about the time you go to bed every night. There's also Wi-Fi routers that just turn off automatically when they're not in use, when there's not information kind of pinging the router, or a device pinging the router. But that's one step. But most people live in an area where when they're searching for a network, there's 30 or 50 or more wireless internet routers that are affecting them, especially if they're in an apartment complex or a high-rise building. There's a lot of different sources of wireless internet. So turning off your Wi-Fi router is helpful, but it's not the whole picture. It's not going to just solve all your problems magically when it comes to EMF exposure. Number 3, you want to rethink your smart home. So the more devices that are connected to your Wi-Fi cellular network, the more EMF exposure that your family is going to have. So you want to ditch any smart home devices that can lock the door or start the oven or turn the lights off, or where you can, like those Nest devices where you can just, be traveling and control your whole home from this Nest wireless device, that emits EMF frequencies. You also, if you're able to, decline having a smart meter installed by the electric company. This is probably a little bit too little too late for most people. Some people are able to opt out of that, and a lot of people opted in to having their electric meter that had to be kind of checked every month manually by the electric company by having a guy come out and check the number on the meter. They now have just unwittingly allow the electric company to put a smart meter on that sends a beam up to 25 miles away every few seconds for some meters. This huge, strong EMF. And some people are sleeping with their head near that every single night for years. And so you can imagine the impact that's going to have on your sleep. And so, so there's smart home, the electric meter, like little devices you can buy online that block that signal. So so that helps. So just something to be aware of. And then number 4, you want to avoid moving into a place or move away from a home where you have these, power lines, where you see these power line. Like I used to have a home where my backyard had a big electric pole, and all the houses' electric wires went into that, and they were feeding the whole neighborhood's electricity from my backyard. And so that was Wi-Fiing me in my home. And I just couldn't understand why. I just felt terrible when I was there, and I was exhausted all the time, and I just was gaining weight and just felt terrible and depressed, and my life's great. Why do I feel like crap? And, I'm not happy. And part of it was this high EMF exposure. And plus I was in Los Angeles. There was, it was just crazy how many wireless towers I was exposed to where I was in my home. And so this is really important. So then you've got to think about, your neighbor's smart meters. If you live in an apartment building, I've had people contact me where their apartment was right next to where all the electric meters for all the apartments were. Yes. And you got to get out of there. You just do. You have to, especially if you have mystery illness or chronic illness where nothing you do works. You got to think about this.
Yes. It's very interesting because I had an issue since I moved here, and under the apartment where I'm at, there's 4 smart meters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a huge problem. Yeah. And then so then there's a lot of different devices out there that people that will buy. And, and this was me in the beginning. I knew EMF was a problem. I had checked all these boxes with my health, like diet, exercise, sleep, stress reduction, all my little boxes. But EMF was that one thing where I was like, there's a learning curve there, and there's all these devices to buy. What do I buy? Do they really work? Are they a scam? Whatever. And so I bought a lot of different things. So I bought the little Defender thing that goes under my computer to absorb the EMFs from my laptop. So I felt good about that. And then I bought a sticker for my cell phone, and I felt really good about that. And then I have another little device that sits on my desktop that protects me in my little vicinity when I'm at my desk. So I felt good about that. But you have to be near those devices. They're not on you all the time, protecting you everywhere that you go. So even if you create this cocoon in your home and you've discovered all the sources in your environment in your home and created this little EMF-free cocoon, what about when you go out to the store or to a friend's house or to the office? What do you do then? So that's why I like this pendant. It's called the Harmony Pendant. And this is a fantastic way to protect your body all the time, no matter what you're exposed to. And I, introduced this to Sterling Hill, probably like a year ago. And, it's just, for me, I discovered this about 2.5 years ago, and it has completely changed my life. It has dramatically improved my sleep, my energy levels, my brain clarity. I didn't know how bad I felt until I used a device like this to upgrade what I was already doing, to kind of up level my health. And so I've really just become a huge voice for this company and what they're doing. And they have a study out. They worked with 150 different patients, 10 different doctors on this study. Phenomenal results, improvement on 12 different variables, mitochondrial power, the flow of the energy in the meridians, the HRVs, the heart rate variability, which is a sign of stress. This is a variable used in studies in Harvard research where they measure the HRV as an indicator of stress in the autonomic nervous system. Most people today are on this really high sympathetic dominant stress state because there's so many different stressors acting on our bodies, including EMF. Add to that emotional stress, the COVID-1984 that's happening right now, just all the different things that are happening right now, nutritional stress, not getting enough sleep, horrible diets, so many stressors. And so a lot of people have really bad HRV scores. And then when they put on this pendant and activate it, their HRV scores dramatically improve because they have less stressors on their body, including EMF. And so it's just really remarkable in that way, in this research that's been done with this pendant. And so I don't know if one of you guys want to post the link to it. You guys can learn more about it and how it works and all that.
We'll post the link to it. I wanted to add in a little bit about how I love the pendant, Wendy. I mean, you gave it to me and I wear it all the time. It's one of my big improvements there. The people who make the pendant do such a wonderful job. Also, is there any free download or any information you can send us on it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can just click the link below and they'll go to a page that has some videos and some more information. And then if they want to learn more about it or have specific questions, they can, get them answered there, or even email the Harmony Pendant support, and they'll get all their questions answered.
I will put your links in the description on the video when I post this video. I would like to ask you, were some of these studies independent studies?
No, they're not independent studies. There's not going to be any university or something taking this on at this point. The company is hoping at some point to have third-party independent studies. But right now, like the first one coming out, they commissioned out themselves. But there's 10 different doctors. So they did that for a reason. So there's these 10 different impartial doctors that have done, a handful of patients, 15 patients themselves. So it's kind of hard to refute that when you have 10 different doctors, many of the medical doctors that are conducting this study. But yeah, the company definitely in the future is going to have all different types of studies. Hopefully, the double-blind, placebo-controlled studies that are like publishable results. They are working on, those types of studies. But right now, they just have that one study.
Oh, sorry. I'd like to add, protecting your bioenergetic field is just very, very important. It's extremely important. People don't realize we have like about a 10-foot radius around us that belongs to us. We emit things, but when, harmful things are coming in that 10-foot radius, it can be very damaging to us. And to know that you can just have something that simple to help protect the bioenergetic field, it's so amazing. And I do set mine every week like we're supposed to. It's very simple. It takes 1 minute to do it once a week. It's very, very simple.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you brought that up, because that kind of answers the question, why are EMFs harmful to our body? What are they doing to our body that causes these symptoms and health issues? Well, like you said, we have an energy field in our body. That's one of the main ways our body communicates. Yes, our body communicates like physically, where we have a bloodstream, and we have hormones, and we have neurotransmitters, and we have a nervous system. These are ways the body communicates to different parts. But we also have an energy field where information is sent on energy waves. And that is one of the ways that our body does trillions of transactions every second. And like the amount of energy our mitochondria produce and all these other things that are happening in our body cannot be attributed to by just the physical communication, and the amount of energy the mitochondria produce isn't enough to power all of the body's functions. And this has been established, and it's a mystery in medicine. It's not a mystery. It's because we have an energy field, and lots of research. This is a burgeoning field. There's, like Dr. Luc Montagna won a Nobel Prize for his discoveries in the bioenergetics. If you go on PubMed and type in bioenergetics, lots of really compelling, interesting research on the energy field, bioenergetics. And so when you think of how information is transferred throughout our body, think about radio. So radio waves, there's a radio wave, and information is transferred on those radio waves. And when you tune into a specific frequency, 98.6 on your radio dial, that information is you can hear that information as talking and music and whatnot. That's the same thing that happens in your body. You have energy waves where information or operating instructions or healing messages are transferred from your heart to your pancreas or wherever. It's the same concept. And it's the same concept with light. Information is transferred on light waves, ultraviolet waves. There's just lots of different waves and frequencies where information is being communicated. And so this is all measurable.
It just reminded me of being injected with light, if you recall that. But anyway, because it's very relevant today. I mean, it's very, it's a whole new area that's receiving so much more attention. But one of the things that I learned from Sterling that I want to emphasize here too, that people need to be aware of, and it relates to these frequencies, and that is, Sterling, tell us about how these frequencies can escalate an infection, viral problems, that kind of thing.
What can happen is, these damaging frequencies come in, like we know, and Wendy knows this too, about 5G, for example. We know that mold, mycotoxin, bacteria can grow 600-fold. And then you add in the heavy metals, and this is where Wendy's expertise is phenomenal at, in detoxing them. It's so important to go to somebody like Wendy and get these detox, because when you look at a microwave oven, right, what happens when you put a spoon in it? Well, okay, here we've been, with the chemtrails, ionic aluminum, the medication, we're taking in aluminum, right? And then we're getting injected with aluminum from those, that's what I like to call it. Yeah. So it doesn't get attacked so easily. Wackadoodle. Well, anyway, it could light you up, and then, you have this 5G turning on, and then it turns in all that glyphosate, all the heavy metals, all the viruses, makes them look like they're on steroids, right, Wendy?
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with infections. These EMFs, their frequencies, they irritate pathogens, parasites, bacteria, viruses, and they replicate much faster than they would without exposure to those frequencies.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Thank you for that, Wendy.
And they grow 600-fold. Mycotoxin, mold, candida,
Yeah.
fungus, bacteria, grows 600-fold, and that makes you question why people are all of a sudden getting sick right now. We're not even going to go into that, but it makes you question what's really going on.
Yeah, and and these EMFs also, like you mentioned this, Sterling, that these EMFs reduce cell wall permeability.
Oh, yeah.
So they make people more vulnerable to pathogens that they might have more protection from if a virus or other pathogen wasn't able to get into their cell membrane and infect a cell. And that is dramatically reduced with this increasing levels of EMF going on, and poor diets. I mean, our cell membranes are made of fats. So you have to eat a diet with really high quality fats to have a really solid cell membrane. But there's a lot of different things contributing to the poor quality and function of our cell membranes.
That's very important, because that's membrane traffic in and out, the good in and the bad out. And if your membrane traffic is stuck or difficult to do that, you're going to have issues with uptake and distribution of waste.
Yeah, you're a sitting duck for infections. And I think one of the reasons why we're seeing so many different people over the past, 30 years, this, just increasing rise in infections is because people's cell membranes and our immune systems are being negatively impacted by the increasing amounts of EMF in our environment.
Most definitely, Wendy. And it was so great having you here. It really was. You're a wealth of knowledge. I really appreciate you so much, my friend.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's just really my passion to get the word out about toxins, not only heavy metals and chemicals, but EMFs as well. They are a huge threat to our health. And anyone that's wanting to live a long, healthy life, you need to be paying attention to EMFs. You can't just, I think there's a lot of people out there that are eating a great diet, like I was, taking amazing supplements, high quality ones, and a lot of them, they're exercising and they just can't figure out why they don't feel well or have a diagnosis or whatnot. You have to be looking at different toxins and add that piece of the puzzle to your health regime.
That is so true, because that is also something that discourages people as far as diet and exercise go. I know somebody who has a really great diet and they exercise all the time and they're sick, or they got cancer, or they got this, or that, or the other thing. And it's not, they have made those improvements in their diet and in their exercise program, but they haven't addressed the EMF issues. And with what we're learning about all this, it has a tremendous impact. And talk about an invisible enemy. EMFs are definitely in that category.
Oh, absolutely.
I got one more question for you about, does orgonite or shungite or those types of crystals help?
Yeah, I love crystals. Crystals definitely, there's a lot of different ones that can help with mitigating EMF in your environment. And I think they're fantastic. There's different, there's probably like at least 20 different types of crystals that can help with EMF mitigation. But the thing is, with a lot of EMF pendants or devices or using crystals to protect you, is crystals can have negative energies in them. So crystals need to be cleared in order so that they don't have a negative impact on you. So a lot of people don't have an awareness of this. So as long as crystals are cleared, then I think those are okay. Those are totally legitimate devices. But I think they probably need to be cleared on a legitimate basis because they can pick up negative energies. So that's just kind of a downside of them. And then let me just finish my question or my thought here. So then there's other pendants that have holographic information on them that are EMF pendants. They have little stickers on the back of them. And those can be beneficial or improve symptoms, but they can over time have negative effects on people's bodies, and where they're not coherent or not positive for that person, that individual in particular. But with the Harmony Pendant is it's not like an EMF blocker per se, but it's the holes in it were designed so that when you activate that pendant and hold it up to your body, you do that activation process when you first get it and once a week thereafter, that removes any distortions in your body's energy field. So it kind of corrects your energy field, and it's better able to tolerate a stressor and a negative frequency like EMF, so that that EMF frequency isn't harming your body or stressing it in any way. So it works very differently than other pendants or crystals out there on the market. It actually has a corrective effect, not just a protective effect. And in doing so, it has many, many other benefits above and beyond simple EMF protection.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much. We'll definitely post that, and if people want to know more information or purchase a pendant or so on, I'll have a link on in the description.
Okay, fantastic.
So, Sterling, do you have any other questions, or do you have anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, I just want to just kind of reiterate what Wendy's saying about this Harmony Pendant. It's so much easier to deal with the Harmony Pendant. I do have crystals, but like she said, I have to use selenite. I'm always clearing mine weekly because, you know, negative energies come in at them. And you always, anytime before meditation, anything, you want to have those cleared. With this, you only have to do this really once a week, set your intentions and go, you know, and it takes 1 minute, 12 inches right above you, and 1 minute of setting those good intentions, you know, like we talked about in last week's show, to kind of retrain that subconscious there, right? Super subconscious. But anyway, it's just so much easier to deal with this. And Wendy, even when you go and look at the Harmony Pendant, they have where one of the doctors is putting up, and when somebody has the Harmony Pendant on, the radiation's bouncing kind of off of them and not in going through them. So it's
Exactly.
just wonderful. And thank you so much for all this great, valuable information, Wendy.
Yes, yeah, thank you. I love crystals too. I have a Lemurian starseed that I use for various things and do biofield tuning, and there's other bioenergetic things I do. But I love crystals, so not knocking that, but just there's, there's different ways to approach this issue, and I say throw everything you got at it, and you also have to find the sources of EMF in your environment and reduce them. It's not enough just to wear a pendant. Though a pendant is a very easy fix, it's a very easy first step while you learn more about EMF, and because it takes time and money to discover and reduce the EMF in your environment and mitigate it. So the pendant can really help give you peace of mind while you're going through that learning process and mitigation of EMF. So I just want to give people just a fair warning, the pendant is not 100%. There's nothing that's 100%, but we've shown in the research about 50 to 88% of a reduction in the harmful effects of EMF and that EMF flowing through their body. So I'll take that any day of the week. But you still have to find sources in your environment and reduce your exposure as much as you can.
It's like you said, you can't carry the crystal around with you all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing, and so and it is easy to wear a pendant. And I have shungite on. I'm going to have to get one of those pendants.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, and the pendant, it's really cute too. I mean, I love functional jewelry that looks super, super cute too. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'll hold it up. It's a really cute kind of flower of life design, and it's really beautiful. And it's also really good for your whole family. So I have my daughter wear one when my dogs were alive. I had them wear one as well. You can have pets. You can give it. They're a great gift. And also when you can have your mate wear it, if he will. If he won't, you can just put it under his pillow. Or your kid, if they just won't wear it or keep taking it off, you can put it under their pillow as well. So where there's a will, there's a way. And so that's just to give people some ideas if they're kind of raising some objections that my husband won't wear it, but he needs it, you can approach it that way.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Is anybody have anything else to say, or should we call it a wrap?
We could probably call it a wrap, I would think. Wendy, thanks so much for this information. You're a wealth of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Oh,
Yeah.
people, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's great information, and I hope many people go to your site and start to detox, because I know how important detox is.
Oh, absolutely. And one other thing I just want to say that, when people wear this pendant, and myself included, they have the number one improvement they have is improved sleep, because their stress levels come down so quickly that they have amazing sleep. My mom said she had the best night's sleep of her life, or she had in years actually, wearing the pendant. I had amazing sleep following activating my pendant. And we hear that time and time and time again. We hear about reduction in pain as well, long-standing chronic pain issues or arthritis resolving very quickly, or the pain level coming down a lot. We have people have increased energy, improved brain function, improved sports performance. They have faster recoveries. A lot of amazing results like this. The founder, Robert Marking, works with professional athletes, UFC fighters, champion racehorses. That's really his focus, is sports performance. And I found improvement as well too. I could do more push-ups than I normally knew I could do when I was wearing my pendant. But most notably, they feel more relaxed, they feel less stress, and they sleep better as a result.
Sleep is so important for the body's healing and restorative capacity. You don't get enough sleep, you're not going to be able to do the repair and maintenance that your body needs to have every.
Yeah, and when I'm working with a client, they want to detox, they know they've got mercury or arsenic or lead or what have you. They can't do that unless they're sleeping or they are stressed. And so many people today are stressed to the max, and they are not sleeping well. Even if their eyes are closed, they're not getting restorative sleep. And for me, the Harmony Pendant is one of the quickest ways I can get people in that parasympathetic rest, relax, detox, digest state, so that we can accomplish their health goals. Because if you are chronically ill or have mystery illness, you've got to bring those stress levels down in order to meet your health goals and get where you want to go. So the pendant serves a purpose in that respect as well.
It's just like when you're under a lot of stress, your cortisol levels are high, and you can't lose weight when they're high, when your cortisol level.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it just goes on, and my goodness, this is so important, and we're going to be hit with even more of these EMFs, and so I hope people are taking note, and thank you so much for this information.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Wendy Myers. My site's myersdetox.com, and I have hundreds of articles and hundreds of podcasts about heavy metal detox, if you guys are interested in that.
And heavens knows, we are exposed to so much of that, it's not even funny. So yeah. We need people like you, and we need detox big time. So thank you, Wendy. We'll have to have you on again sometime.
I would love to.
Yeah, I'd love her to come and talk about NES.
Yes.
I think NES. Yeah, NES. She needs to come back and talk about NES soon.
Yes, I'm fascinated by that, Wendy. I want to know more about that too.
Yeah, NES Bioenergetics is great. There's a lot of big conversation you can have about bioenergetics, and we kind of touched on it here, but there's a lot of different ways to work with energy. But I like to start with the Harmony Pendant, because I find it potentiates and makes more effective any other bioenergetic modality that I'm wanting to do with myself or my clients. So I always begin with the Harmony Pendant.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you again soon. Thank you so much.